Namaste. My name is Janapati Das, and welcome again to another Krishna Katha story. We're going to hear a story about a little bit out of the Mahabharata section, but it's actually from the Krishna book, but it's about Duryodhana and the Pandava brothers at the end of the Rajasuya sacrifice for King Yudhisthira. Please accept my most humble obeisances, and I'd like to offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, Jagadguru Siddhaswarupananda Srila Prabhupada, of whose mercy is with no boundaries. I place my head at his lotus feet and ask for his mercy and compassion upon me to be able to speak to you tonight. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Iti Namine. And I'd like to offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual grandfather, the spiritual master of my spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. So, as always, as instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Chaitanya, in this age of Kali, of chaos and quarrel and confusion, a lot of awful stuff going on, and it continues to progress worse and worse. The prescribed method of coming to self-realization and understanding, the prescribed form, the highest form of meditation, is the hearing and repeating of Krishna's names, the names of Krishna, the pastimes of Krishna. So please join along. Haribo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are continuing on in the last book, the section of the Krishna book. We had just finished reading about the deliverance of Shishapala. A wonderful, wonderful story, wonderful prayer. If you haven't had a chance to listen to that, go back to the last video, especially meditate upon the wonderful, wonderful prayer of Shishapala. Sahadev. Sorry, I should get my characters mixed up. That's what happens with old age. And we are, so of course Krishna killed Shishapala for a lot of reasons. We can get into another time, but you can listen, read through. A lot of it's explained in the last chapter. Chapter 6 is why Duryodhana felt insulted at the end of the Rajasuya sacrifice. So once again, I recommend you read the great epic of the Mahabharata. The best translation I know of is retold by Krishna Dharma. There are many translations, but of course, it's hard to find a really good and authoritative. Krishna Dharma was a disciple of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, so it's an authorized scripture. And so in the story of the Mahabharata, of course, we hear these characters pop up because the Mahabharata in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which the Krishna book is based on, is they intersect in the stories a lot of times. Mostly the Mahabharata is about the Kuru and the Kuru dynasty primarily, and the Yadu dynasty. Sometimes Krishna's in that a lot, actually, but mostly a story of the Pandava brothers, who were sons of the great King Pandu, who was the brother of King Dhritarashtra, who was a blind king. Sometimes we read the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, we see that Sanjaya is speaking to Dhritarashtra. So this is a very vast story, and so I recommend reading it because it's like story and story and story and story. So you start telling a story, you have to tell another story, and before you know it, your hour has gone by. So Duryodhana, of course, was the son of Dhritarashtra, the blind king. He was one of 100 sons, born of Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, and they were pretty evil at heart. I think they were, as I said, Krishna's arrangement to bring down the fall of the Yadu and the Kuru dynasty and of the Kshatriyas, part of his mission on the planet to alleviate the Kshatriya race. And Duryodhana, of course, was envious of the Pandava brothers, headed by King Yudhisthira. Arjuna, of course, they were cousins of Krishna by, at least in material sense. There was Bhima, the voracious eater and fighter, who actually was in our story where he split Jarasandha in half, right? We have Sahadev, who gave the great speech in the last story, and of course his twin brother Nakula. And so Duryodhana was very envious of the success of King Yudhisthira because he wanted to be king. And so this is a lot of what's based on the Mahabharata story. And he said why Duryodhana had felt insulted at the end of the Rajasuya sacrifice. So this was a Rajasuya sacrifice that's given to King Yudhisthira. And I'm going to read this, and these glasses are not very good. Can't even, everything looks blurry. I'm going to grab another pair of glasses really quick. Hare Krishna. Ooh. Either that or my eyesight's getting worse. Let's hope not. Oh, that's better. King Yudhisthira was known as a Jata Shatru, or a person who has no enemy. So King Yudhisthira was such a great, saintly, spiritual king. Some of the Maharajas of the Indian Vedic culture, many were great saints. Their role as a Kshatriya was to spread the spiritual knowledge that the Brahmanas would give to them and live in help people, not just financially and materially, but mostly spiritually, help them understand their true meaning of life. You don't really have, you don't have any leaders like that right now. Like the blind leading the blind, the most corrupt, terrible, awful leaders in our excuse me,